by the end of 2025. And in Ireland, and this is because we are the European hub for a lot of multinationals. In Ireland, you're twice as likely to be subject to to fraud as a result of cybercrime than the global average. And that's a study from PwC found that. So that gives you an idea of the scale of the issues organizations are facing when it comes to cybersecurity. The employment market then, and I suppose why we've partnered with the likes of Dublin Coding School in terms of getting quality recruits is it's an interesting area. So there are 4 million unfilled cyber jobs worldwide. So that's a stat from Cyber Ireland. A study that they performed last year found that there's a lot of jobs out there, and it's global competition. So it's not just when you're looking for a cyber role, it may be for a company that are based in Ireland, but they're working across the whole globe. So there's competition from organizations in other countries for people who are coming onto the market looking for those types of roles. And in general, organizations are under-resourced when it comes to cyber skills. So as a result, they struggle to understand the competing priorities of a cybersecurity engineer. So there's just some key KPIs again when it comes to the employment market. So what do? We're a managed service provider. So we provide cybersecurity as a service for companies that don't have their own cybersecurity skills in-house, or they want to augment their current team with additional resources. So we are based in Dublin, in Dunleary and Glasnevin. We have 2 offices, and we're also exploring Boston and London at the minute. So we've got customers in those countries, in the USA and the UK. So we're looking at opening offices in both those locations. We started in July 2021, so we're still in startup, or considered a startup. But over the last 9 months, we've grown our customer base and our team at a rapid rate. So that's been great that we've been successful so quickly. Our customer base then are wide and varied. So we partner with IT managed service providers. So they're companies who provide IT as a service to organizations who don't have IT departments. And historically, they would have been considered responsible for cybersecurity, but a lot of them don't actually have cybersecurity skills within their team. So we have become the cyber arm for IT managed service providers who don't have that expertise within their own teams. We also have customers in financial services, healthcare, construction, energy, automotive, food and manufacturing, logistics, clothing brands, and also in blockchain. So quite a wide variety of customers. We're agnostic to the industry that we work in, because cybersecurity skills, across many different industries, it's the same type of thing that we do for each. So that kind of gives you the scale of the breadth of interest we have then when we're talking to different customers. So what do? We have what we call the ARM process, which is we assess, remediate, and manage. So we will assess a company, help them understand their needs from a cybersecurity perspective. In a lot of cases, they either don't know where their risks are or their vulnerabilities. We will help them assess that at an early stage, understand where they need to spend their time remediating, and then we manage that remediation phase in terms of helping them put in place the protections and controls to reduce either the likelihood of a cyber attack or the impact if one was to happen. And then we aim then to become their cybersecurity manager into the future. So we have ongoing management of their cybersecurity alongside their IT teams. So that's the kind of process we go through with organizations. We call it the ARM process: assess, remediate, and manage. And I'm going to pass over to Rachel now to give us an idea for what we do on an average day. Rachel?
Yeah, so working in cybersecurity and especially startup is exciting because each day it does bring different, each day is different and it brings new experiences. It also allows for the likes of myself to get more involved in the initial setup of different elements of the business, which is an opportunity you wouldn't particularly get in some of the larger organizations. Of course, cybersecurity is an exciting area to be working in overall. By working in VISO, I've personally really been able to improve my own skills and knowledge, as it's allowed me to see all the moving parts in a cybersecurity company from being involved in from the start, which is great. The VISO team then in general are extremely helpful team. We have a great community that allows for us to be able to bounce ideas off each other and pull from each other's past experience, as we all together have a good mix of skill sets from our backgrounds in previous areas that we were working in. And so overall, there is a great team spirit in VISO. And so typically, a typical day in VISO, there's 6 icons there. So the first one is the information security incidents and alerts. So these would typically come from SIEM, SOCs, and they would constantly monitor the logs in a company, and they'd raise an alert if they've seen anything suspicious. We then would investigate this alert, and through our investigation, we then determine if it is a security incident or not. If it is, then we would kick into our runbook process and follow that through to make sure we get that remediated as soon as possible. The second one then is vulnerability management assessments and advice. So we work with companies to run scans on both their internal and external facing assets. We then take these vulnerabilities and categorize them from critical down to low. Then we then advise companies on how they can remediate these vulnerabilities to avoid security breaches. Coming into future, it helps to prevent any security breaches. And then this would lead on to the advice and guidance section. So we provide advice and guidance to clients in all areas of cybersecurity. This can range from clients coming to us with looking for advice on a particular security product, to a client coming to us and asking for a complete strategy plan for us to make a roadmap that we can implement to improve their overall security posture. So that really varies from the different kind of queries we get from clients. Then our policy and report writing. So our policy development service can bring clarity on in company and what they may need to do to demonstrate compliance and align with data protection regulations like GDPR and ISO 27001. So before we get into policy writing, if a company doesn't really know where they are, we perform a control gap assessment. This then allows us to identify what gaps there are in a security posture, and we can then pull the policies from that and start working with the company on writing them out. Then we also write reports for companies that may have brought us in to help with, if they have an ongoing security incident, they can bring us in to help on that. These reports then would typically contain like a detailed timeline event of the security incident. And then we would again perform a gap analysis on that so we can identify the gaps in their security posture. And we would also include our recommendations on what they should implement to avoid this happening again in the future. Overall, in a day, we really would work with businesses, and our main goal is to reduce the risk of cybersecurity for all our clients.
Very good, thanks, Rachel. I suppose from a overall point of view, or for people who are interested in moving into cybersecurity, it's worth noting that you're not expected to do all of these things from day one. So when somebody comes in, either say for an internship or as a grad into the organization, we spend a bit of time bringing them up to speed in terms of our own process around these areas. So don't be scared when you see these things and you may not have done them before, or you know, you might have covered them in terms of your training, but haven't actually any experience in them. We don't expect people to have, who are coming in at say joining the industry for the first time, to have done all of these things before. We provide a good bit of time and development internally to bring people up to speed in terms of what's expected. So for a lot of these things, we would have templates, we'd have tools in place that we would train a new recruit on using, and then gradually you start to be exposed to the clients that Rachel talks about in terms of dealing with them on a day-to-day basis. So that's worth noting if you are looking at moving into the industry for the first time. And the other, you know, the other point around all of that is, you know, there's within VISO, and this will be the same for a lot of organizations, but we pride ourselves in terms of developing from within. So when we bring people into the team, it's a real team environment. We all help each other to meet our client requirements, but we get a bit of I suppose a buzz out of developing people, and you know, we have a constant learning curve. So we're all doing courses on, on a regular basis. We're all upskilling because the cybersecurity world changes so often. We have to keep on top of, what's out there, the latest trends, the latest guidelines. So it's just because, you've done a course, don't think that as the end of your learning. When you come into an organization like ours, you will continue to learn more or less on a day-to-day basis as well. So that's something else just to keep in mind if you are joining an organization like ours. Luke, that's it in terms of our slides. We didn't want to spend too much time on slides, but if you want to go into the Q&A now.
Yeah, that's great. And thank you for one moment. I'll just okay. I'm back now. So yeah, no, that's great and really interesting stuff brought up. We actually had, I'll just go quickly to a question that's been asked. Sure. One member of the audience there, and it was Dawn Roach, who is asking about internships in cybersecurity. Would they be applicable to people maybe with software backgrounds or people who've come up through that area? So I suppose whether he's asking, it's leaning towards the background of people coming in. Do you have to have studied cybersecurity, or could you be a web developer and come in and start learning on the job? I think
it certainly helps. So from an internship point of view, we tend to take in interns who have done some sort of course. That's the kind of the model of an internship program, is that there's a general understanding of the terminology. But we have also taken in people from different industries and IT, software development. You tend to know the very basics. So I wouldn't class it as an internship in that sense. It's more a change of career. But absolutely, if somebody has an interest and is willing to learn and to spend a bit of time, doing courses while on the job and learning from the team, there's absolutely no barrier to entering the industry. And actually, we're encouraging as many people as we can to move over to cybersecurity, because there's a lot of unfilled jobs there. It's very difficult to get people.
Yeah, and so I know we talked a bit about this is in here at Dublin Coding School. We talk to people who are thinking about a career change, and they're sometimes thinking of which area to go into. And they might say, I want to work in IT. And I always tell them, well, that's like saying, I want to play sport. Which sport are you going to go for? So do you think there's certain personal attributes or a profile of a type of person that would be better drawn towards cybersecurity, do you think? Or is it kind of far and wide? I know, like, if someone was maybe creative, we sort of put them give them a look at UX design first, or web development, or so. Do you think there's a certain type of person who excels in cybersecurity?
Well, there's kind of multiple roles within cybersecurity. So it's like you're saying around the sports piece. We have different skill sets within our own team. We've people who are very risk oriented, so they're thinking of the controls, and they're very detail oriented in that sense. And then you've got technical people who understand the technologies and can ask the right questions to understand where the cybersecurity risks are. So you have both sides of that fence. And then if you're coming from a programming background, you might be more interested in the likes of forensics, where you're down in the depths, looking at all the detail of what's going on. So there's kind of loads of different areas. If you do, for example, if you went on to do a master's in cybersecurity, there's 8 different modules, and each one of them are different individual skill sets that you tend to cover, with some kind of overall pieces. So there's loads of different options. It's very, you hit the nail on the head in terms of what you said around IT. It's similar in terms of cybersecurity, but I think as Rachel says, we have something new coming across our desk every day, and you just have to be open to learning and to evolving and developing it while you're on the job, because no day is the same.
No day same. I remember we had an interview with a very senior web developer here before, and he said, you can't possibly learn it all. That even the very top globally are learning all the time, and there's too much. So you have to, I suppose what they were talking about was learn the basics and then go into it thinking, throughout my whole career, I'm going to be learning, and I'll never know it all, even when I retire. So that was the message.
That's a really good point.
Similar
it's absolutely similar. And there's a couple of other stats that we didn't show on our slides, but there's one that I regularly use with clients is that there's 8,000 pieces of information relevant to cybersecurity published every day. 8,000. So you just can't keep up with all of that. So you need tools, and you need. We use, Rachel mentioned the SIEM SOC, which is, a security operations center who do all the analysis on our clients' logs, and they present us with the things we need to look at and put our expertise towards research, because they have we've one customer will have 3 billion log entries a month, and then we have to take the incidents out of those. So there's no way a person can understand all of that data. So you have to use the tools at your disposal. And again, we would have kind of a number of key news websites or even podcasts, like regularly listen to podcasts because you pick things up on those, of new technologies that are coming. It's a constant learning curve. As you say, there's no way you could learn it all.
No, yeah, exactly. Now, just for, I might ask a question maybe of Rachel there. So, I mean, there are people probably watching this thinking, I want to try my hand at that job and get into it. But so maybe what actually first drew you to a career in cybersecurity, or do you know when you first became aware of it and said, I'm going to get a job in that area, just when you were in your sort of career journey?
Yeah, so I started off I done a degree in IT management. So that was a really general overview of all IT, and it was the security modules in that degree that really pulled my interest, and I knew that that's where I wanted to go. And then I was just lucky enough to be able to get an internship myself to work in that area, and that's where it started for me, and I'm still here now.
Great. And did it match your expectation? When you're looking from the outside, what you think cybersecurity will be, and now suddenly you're a cybersecurity professional. Is there much of a gap between, people like?
It more exceeded my expectations, because I never realized it to be every day to be so different, to be so many different areas to be involved in. It keeps it. I know it's one way to say, but it keeps it exciting. Every day is something different, and you're constantly learning. Like you do one course and you think you're up to date, and then something new comes in, you're like, oh, I need to go research that myself so I know about that.
Right. Yeah, very good. And I'll actually ask maybe the same question to Stephen. It might have been a little more time ago when you first decided to move into cybersecurity. But what was it initially? And because people watching these will be thinking of a career change, they might have narrowed it down to cybersecurity and data analytics or something like that, and they're just looking for how other people made that decision.
Yeah, so my background is IT. I would have been an IT manager for 15 years, and towards the end of my career, it was all within the same group of companies. Cybersecurity was becoming more and more prevalent, so I was responsible for it as part of IT, as everybody was back then. There was no individual security teams. Seen it as a bit of an exciting area. So I went back and did a master's as a way of retraining myself to move specifically out of IT, and I loved it. So doing a master's just opened my eyes to, as Rachel says, all the different areas within cybersecurity. So it's a real passion of mine. I'm really interested in it. It's funny, when I was working in that organization, there used to be a buzz if there was a security incident, because you were down in the depths trying to find what had happened and to make sure the company was protected. So you don't really get that in IT. IT can be very samey. You're doing the same stuff every day. Operational IT, it's nobody rings the IT department to say thanks very much, everything's fine. They're ringing to give out. It can be a bit of a slog, and I just wanted to get out of that area and get into something more, I suppose, interesting and exciting, and haven't looked back since.
Yeah, and so on the skills gap you mentioned, that's a huge number of 4 million unfilled jobs, isn't it? I mean, I know that's globally, but you'd imagine there's some of those, a large chunk of those will be in Europe, and then the portion of those are going to be in Ireland. I mean, how do you view the skills gap? How do you find it out there in the market with regards to cyber jobs?
It's a particular worry, and it's a worry for a lot of organizations, but that's the gap in the market that we're filling as an organization, because we're providing that as a service. So for smaller to medium organizations, they can't afford to have a cybersecurity engineer on the books. They can barely afford to have IT people, right? So we're providing that as a service, as a way of bridging the gap. We regularly put out job adverts on LinkedIn, and we get inundated with advertisements. I'd say 90% of them are from overseas, the applications.
Applying.
So it is a worldwide market, and it's difficult to get people, but what we're very conscious of is we have to bring in people who are the right culture fit for our organization. So we have lots of applications, but we can tell very quickly if somebody's going to fit in with the team, because that team ethos is so important to us in terms of delivering a quality product to our customers.
Yeah.
So the market is tough. What we tend to do, I suppose, and how we attract people is through our network. So we do a lot of networking. We build relationships with people who are in the industry, and we create a funnel then for future. As we require people to come in, we have a list of people we will go to and see if they're interested in the move. And our internship program is part of that. So, we don't bring in interns on the basis of, they're doing a job for a couple of months and then they're gone. We're bringing in interns to be our future employees. That's, it's the best way of attracting people who understand the organization. So it's a big part of what we're doing. And why we've partnered with the likes of yourselves and Dublin CODING School.
Yeah, and we were delighted to partner with you as well, because I know we have cybersecurity graduates. It's a newer course for us, but they're coming through more and more as the months go on. And of course, they'll be some of them obviously looking for internships, placements, and trying to get out there and get. So it's really good that you've said that, your internships aren't just a few months, and thank you very much, that you're actually picking people that you think will remain full-time afterwards.
Yeah, like this, we're going to invest an awful lot of our time in whoever comes in as an intern. As I said, nobody's expected to know everything that we do from day one. So we have to invest our time in that. And that's a big commitment from a company. As a startup, we're investing their time in developing people, but we're not doing it for them to walk out the door after 3 months. So it's really important to us.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to say to anyone watching, if there are any questions, we'll be wrapping up soon. So if you do want to get another one in, just type it into the chat underneath and we'll get to it. I was going to come maybe to you, Siobhan, just briefly, just to check. So obviously you've been in VISO as well. So as far as a place to work, and you mentioned the team there, Stephen, it's a big focus for you in getting the right people in. How would you describe the company? I don't want to put you on the spot too much now, but how would you describe the company culture there and the kind of team ethos and what it's like to work at VISO?
Yeah, well, I've been here just a month, so I'm still settling in and learning a lot. I think what struck me most about VISO when I was first looking at it was just the passion that people have within the team. It's something you'll often see in a startup, but it makes it a really exciting place to come every day, because like Rachel mentioned earlier, you're doing something different every day, you're learning something new every day. I'm very much a non-technical person, so my role is focused on marketing and that kind of stuff. So I'm learning a lot. I've had an overload. The guys will testify to that, but they've been so welcoming, and it's such a diverse team as well, and such diverse skill sets. So the month for me has just been just learning so many new things about the industry, but also just I've been really impressed by the commitment to developing people and the care for people that are within the team. So, there's a sort of genuine sense that everybody's got each other's backs. There's a real trust there. And that's not something you often see. Sometimes you'll go into an environment or a team and you'll get a sense straight away for what it's like. It's very genuine in VISO. So I think that's probably one of the things that attracted me most. And I just encourage anybody who is interested in working for VISO definitely to reach out and have a chat with Steve. And he's such an approachable person. So yeah, I definitely encourage anybody to reach out if they're interested.
Great, yeah, and I know certainly we'll anytime you have your internship going, we'd love to share that information with our alumni as well, just to put it out there that this is it's open again now. Now's your chance to apply and get that in. So and Rachel, I was just going to come to you now about just quickly, because you're sort of sitting in the chair where a lot of people doing a cybersecurity course would want to end up in. So would you have what advice would you give someone who's maybe thinking about a career in cybersecurity but is just about to start? Now that you've kind of gone through that journey, I suppose, but is there any sort of advice you'd tell yourself just before you started your course initially?
Yeah, Joe, it can be daunting when you're just starting a course. You're kind of looking at it, and especially when it's all new, it is daunting. But Joe, take it step by step. Focus on just as Stephen said, there is so many areas in cybersecurity. So, Joe, dip your toe into all of them. Have a look at everything. Try to get a sense for it, and then know yourself which area you think your skills would be best suited for. and focusing on that one and just see how you feel with it. But it is daunting when you're starting a new course first, especially if this is your first time getting in cybersecurity. But just take it day by day and it'll be worth it in the end for sure.
One topic at a time. So you're saying it's a good idea as well, maybe to move through the topics and then think about which one you'd specialize in. Is that probably?
I think so. I think to get a general idea of all different topics, because there's so many out there and they are so different.
Yeah.
And then see which one sparks your interest most.
And then, okay, so with a longer view to saying, well, I might.
Exactly. And then you do have that background yourself to know what the tasks are involved in each different area as well.
Yeah, very good. Okay, and Stephen, just briefly, so what would you say would be the top 3 or even 5, if you've got many, of the great cybersecurity engineer or cybersecurity or a CISO? What do you think would be the top 3 or 4 attributes of a really great cybersecurity professional?
Well, the first one is to remain calm, right? So a lot of what we do is actually calm customers down because they think, the world's after exploding because they have a cybersecurity incident, but it's more common than you'd realize. So remaining calm is good. Communication skills are really important. So a lot of what we do is trying to take information from customers to understand it, but being able to communicate that back then in non-technical terms. Because again, a lot of what we're doing is to try and take away the pain of having to understand all of this technical stuff and turn it back around to senior people within organizations. So they're 2 really key areas. There's so many different areas within our team that like I could kind of hone in on particular skills, like around technical skills are important. So sometimes, but like I don't go out looking for technical skills. People who understand risk and being able to risk assess something, are good. But again, we don't go out looking for that specifically. We're looking for a wider, kind of more rounded person who's able to represent us in the right way. So it's more about your communication skills and your ability to learn. General IT skills are good, obviously, because we use an awful lot of IT tools to do what we do. But they're not that essential. It's more. It's
really interesting. You said there about communicating with non-technical people, and that seems to be a theme that comes up quite a lot across the board in these kind of talks we do, where you get a technical team trying to get across these ideas or to let a non-technical team know what's actually happened. And it must be so key in cybersecurity, because if you don't get it across correctly, they might go away with the wrong idea of what the risk was, what's happened, and that type of thing.
It is, and it's as key in IT actually, and it's one of the big criticisms IT teams have generally when you talk to senior management is around somebody will come in and present a whole lot of technical information and bamboozle them, scare them, and they don't know the person they're presenting to don't really understand what you're saying. So it's a real skill that's lacking in the industry generally, and but it's, as you say, it's so important in terms of what we do, because we have to take all the worries away from people, and be the people that will worry about it, will risk assess it, and put a controlled plan of action in place to there's no point in us coming in and saying there's 1,000 things wrong. We need to get down to really simple terms, like these are the top 5 things you need to do now. Because if you go in with 1,000 things, we just scare somebody, and there may be 1,000 things to do, but we have to roadmap that and turn that into something that a company can actually do and see tangible impacts from. So it's about being being balanced, understanding what people are saying. The communication is 2-way, by the way. It's not just being able to talk, it's being able to listen, to decipher what people are saying, to ask the right questions. So the kind of active listening of tell me how, or how do you mean, is obviously a good term when somebody says something, because they might think that they're explaining something well, and if you say how do you mean, they'll say the same thing in a different way and you might pick up something different. So we kind of, again, they're kind of skills that you learn over time when you're going through that process of assessing an organization, that they're so important to what we do. If we don't understand how things work, how can we provide advice and guidance on how best to secure it? So so that's
okay.
it.
We've had let me see a question through what okay, well, it's about the actual course. Which topics do we cover? So I'll just quickly list them for that was Saulus who's asked that in the chat. So it was ethical hacking, web application security, cryptography, network security, penetration testing and application security are the main topics covered in the introduction course. So I hope that answers that one. I was quickly going to now ask you, so for the people watching, how would they contact VISO Cybersecurity? I suppose would be the first thing. Do you have a website, a general email? And also, when is your, I suppose the second question would be, when is your internship program coming around again, or is it even live now?
Yeah, so I suppose from a contact point of view, our website is viso.ie, and there's a contact form on there. So that's how to get in touch. Our LinkedIn profiles are there as well. You can reach out directly. No issue with that either. We try and, as I say, we network constantly. That's what we do. So completely open to communicating with people that way as well. Just remind me, what was the second question? Oh, the internship program.
Oh, and the internship program. Yeah, I suppose
so,
it was maybe just to talk about that briefly about, I suppose we can talk about if it's open now, or will it be coming up? Do you do it at times during the year? And then also, I suppose, a bit about the requirement, the type of people you want applying, and then what generally the interns would be doing at the start, just really briefly.
So our internship program is throughout the whole year.
Okay.
So we want to have an intern all the time. So 3-month period, that means we're going to have 4 every year. We don't see ourselves committing to more than one, because we've got to commit our time at the same time. So we're just, we had it out on LinkedIn up to, I think it closed last week or maybe the week before, and we're going through the I call it interview, but it's really just kind of getting to know you phase. We're down to 2 people in that process right now, and they will start in the next couple of weeks for 3 months. But we will put it back out as soon as we're up there with a start date of when that person finishes, because when we advertised that time, people came to us and said, well, look, I need an internship at these dates. So we have a number of people now who we haven't gone through the process with now, who are coming to us saying, look, I will need an internship in 3 months' time when my course is finished, or whatever it might be. And we're reaching out to them at that point and talking to them. So it's kind of a constant. So what I would say is, if somebody is interested in an internship with VISO, get in touch with us. We'll put you on our list for when you're looking to come in, and we'll talk to you at that point. So it's permanently open, I would say.
It's permanently open, and generally it's 1, possibly 2 intern every 3 months. And
it's 1 currently. I don't see us having any more than 1 until we grow a little bit more in terms of the team, because it's a big commitment from our team to spend time. And we have to obviously service our customers. So it's 1, I would say, for the next 6 months. We won't go with more than 1, but in the future maybe we will extend that.
But that's a good sign, isn't it? It shows you're really investing in your interns and training them properly and giving it the right time, not just leaving them there. So that's really good to hear. Okay, I think we're kind of drawing towards the end now. So I don't know, do you have anything to say to finish up? I can open it to the floor if there is anything to say about VISO or for the good of cybersecurity.
Not really, just to say thanks for the opportunity. It's good to chat, and we really appreciate the partnership with you guys and what you're doing. And it's great to see more and more people coming through your doors, because that's great for the industry. So I'd say keep up the good work. Keep them coming. We need as many as you can get. So thanks very much for your time.
No, we're delighted as well to partner with you. So I'll just say to anyone, by the way, if you're watching the recording of this and you have a question, you can also email it in to me at luke@dublincoding.ie, or our general email is info@dublincoding.ie. So if you send in your question, even if you're watching the recording, I'll get back to you. And even if you have a question for anyone on the panel, I can forward that on and they can answer it as well. So we'll still remain interactive, even if you're watching the recording. I'd also like to say, anyone who's watching this, who's in time, we're going to offer 15% off the next cybersecurity course, which is launching at the end of the month, I believe around the 25th of April. And so that's just an offer we've got there. You can check it out on dublincoding.ie is the website. And as part of the cybersecurity course, you also get the Career Centre service, where we'll help you with your CV, your online presence afterwards, and point you in the direction of partners such as VISO and others. But thank you very much again to Stephen, Siobhan and Rachel for joining me. And thank you for watching, whether it's the recording or live. We'll see you again for another event another time.
Thanks, Luke.
Thanks, Luke.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.